side too, by just having Sherrod playing solo as his chamber on the B site.
So we have the element of the chamber. I wonder, it's going to be the race to that first op and even the anti-eco. Sometimes you see that outlaw, the marshal, whatever, because Breeze, that large open map that could take advantage of those long sight lines. SRG, though, will be setting the pace with that KO, a very early knife to mark. Any kind of shenanigans, you know you're facing kind of an off-kilter swim trek that could really throw anything at you, but pretty standard stuff. Bob gonna mark the push, at least from the jet. That half health, swim trek could be in trouble as SRG now finally making noise, stepping into that arena, slicing with their harbor. And there are some shots, Dodo that just catches a stray.
That's just so unlucky, but they still have to move in to get the spike plant down, but they're doing a great job for swim trek to deny this from happening.
So far, so good. SRG not safe enough to recover this spike. It all come down to maybe this lurk from Noya coming through double doors and already getting the attention of Zoriental, who could be crunched. Maybe this confusion. The smoke, though, is kind of helping SRG recover this spike, and now they could try to regroup with Noya, but nice lineup so far. It's really so toe-to-toe. 2 versus 2. As SRG, I should say, have been shoved, but these sheriffs, these one-taps are gross. Sleepy Aria has been subbed in and could give them the pistol win, and now just wants to get in SRG's face. Finds himself 6 feet under.
I was hoping to catch one off guard as well, but a nice little fight back by SRG in the first place. You could see the tactic from SRG and how they were set up for Soundtrack Blue. They were already expecting some sort of an A-side split going on to the first round. So what happened here was you had Zoriental and also Venture just getting ready to dart right in front of the harbor wall that slices from mid side because they were expecting that split to happen. So as you move your resources towards that side, it gave an open space for SRG to fully take towards that main because nobody was splitting. They all went for a 5-player hit. Instead, though, for this round, looks like a pop flash to go aggressive to fight at that spot. And you're trying to combine here both the Viper and the Silva to try to punish, but it's Donut that does it instead.
Yeah, maybe Bob just tried to find a quick insert to kind of surprise SRG, thinking, of course, they're going to be confident. They're on the anti-eco, but Venture just pops 3 with the Sheriff. Oh, what is the same traitor? Oh my god, SRG, not as free as you thought, but at least the spike's in hand, and again, Noya could be coming in from mid to save the day, but this 1v1 against Sherrod is all could decide this, and somehow SRG have picked themselves up off the ground, and it's a showdown between Zoriental and Noya to decide the round after a 3K from Venture. Was it enough? And Noya fumbles, and Zoriental closes it out.
Zoriental lucky too that they were able to pick up a Guardian left behind here at the entrance of the A site. What a nice triple tap by Venture, anchoring up on that A site. They were dead for rights pretty much when you had such a nice opening for Shopfire Belly and Gold at the entrance. It was such a nice punish that they did onto Bob in the first place, but then somehow you make magic happen with the GC Sheriffs, and that puts SRG into an eco. No plant for the second round as well, so that means they're stuck on pistols. They're trying to fake towards this B site to start, maybe Cove pick up an orb, and then just fight towards that main.
Swim Trek really playing with their food, but deciding to commit both duelists forward. More support, more firepower. There's the swing and the twirl, and Zoriental gets 2 with the Guardian. Maybe could be gifting some weapons, and that's why Alexis wants to fight for this space, and Bob wants to deny it, but a Vandal should be able to take care of business, so Bob just has to anchor here for now.
Hoping here that Glowstick's going to be able to hear that for sure now that the dart comes out. So that accounts 2 players towards the A side. If I'm like Alexis right now, I should try to find a way to activate a rotate or a fight here for the Viper over on a B to fight against Sherrod. Because right now they need to sell that fate to pull that rotate back from the A side because you have question marks face, but unfortunately it's going to be a full front check from SRG instead. And kind of already know here that the spike's now trying to move towards the A side.
Everything thrown out of Alexis to just try to get these weapons. Alexis will get the one. Noya shut down in mid. No shenanigans in the back line. And Swim Trek form the wall and hold SRG back.
Yeah, again, from after hearing that drone towards that middle and that 3 versus 3 fight towards the A main, that snake bite that was already thrown on the defensive side by Bob had to already have 2 players accounted for Swimtrek Blue anchoring towards the A side. So they were definitely weak on A, and they had a chance here. Still a lot of time to even pull back and try to go for even a 3-player hit towards that B site if they wanted to. But instead, because you kind of just walked out and showed your hand towards the A side, and Sherrod, well, they're not going to move. They're playing Chamber. You're going to count on your teammates to play numbers on the site anyway, so they're never going to over-rotate in that place. The rotate's a little bit off there for SRG, but thankfully they have weapons to work with this round, but an op as well for Zoriental, who's overlooking this B site.
And Sleepy Aria's stats look like that, so that Zoriental can pop off with the 5 and 2 and even buy a round 4 off, which is going to be a factor. SRG cutting through mid, the drone from the Sova Venture will spot trouble. Now SRG already heading back to the double doors, and Sherrod is eliminating any chance for SRG to go through main. So now SRG could be crunched from the perimeter of the map. Sherrod really choosing that moment carefully, but TPing right back. Donut adjusts. Now SRG have the site. Potentially, if Bob goes unnoticed, SRG making a lot of noise, checking every nook and cranny. As Bob just wants to at least get away with one. There's damage into Donut, but not enough.
Beautiful jump by Alexis, but here's the walk down with the judge. So that's spike down and a long-range battle as well with the judge. Well, that's going to leave it on a 1 versus 1.
Hey, when you do the damage, the judge can be the executioner. 1v1, and Venture gets it again. And Noya's left in these really tough situations sometimes, being that lone wolf that has to cut through double doors, that has to create like a fake on the other side of the map. And it's a slow start for SRG as they're still trying to kind of get to know Swimtrek, and you know, the fact that Venture popped 3 against their anti-eco, and SRG have had to adjust even in that round, cutting in through mid after the drone spotted them. So some good adjustments, but the clutch factor not there yet for SRG.
Yeah, but Venture just swinging that at 31 HP was actually amazing in terms of confidence. And I think it is because of that 3K Sheriff that they pulled a couple of rounds ago. This time a solo hold onto the A site. Lots of solo holds from Swimtrek overall, and that's Bob's solo here.
Ooh, the dash kind of missed, and Dodo at least dodged the bullet because of it. Yeah, that solo anchor, it's not going to be enough to hold back this flood of SRG. You're just hoping to at least get a 1-tap. But now SRG has to play chicken against the Hunter's Fury, and Vanitas is a victim. This is going to definitely strengthen this retake here from Swimtrek, but now the clock has become a variable. Double doors, 2 duelists, knives out, call being made. SRG throwing util, trying to force their hand, and Swimtrek choosing a lane, but they get covered by the Reckoning thrown from Glowstick. Gives them the edge. All share is still versus SRG. They just have to play their lives. They know they're outgunned, but Alexis, power friendship will vanquish all, I guess. 3 versus 2. It's still some powerful rifles. Sleepy Ari and Venture at least working together, but it's taking too long to clear the backside of this site. That, I don't know. Yeah, I don't think the defuse is in the cards for Sleepy Aria.
And a 4K for Alexis as the IGL too, so I mean, we selling broken records from GC after GC to keep talking about the GC sheriffs here in North America, because that was a beautiful round in terms of protocol for SRG. I didn't like how it started though, because Vanitas, the idea was already to tap the spike to bait out the Hunter's Fury, yet somehow you still allow yourself to get beamed twice here by the ult side of Venture to drop that spike. But thankfully, because we talk about that good protocol from SRG to double swing on one side to isolate fights at a player's advantage, just allowed SRG in the end to close out that round in their favor and to keep this game quite close. So that keeps the economy very low for the side of Swimtrek Blue, and Sleepy Aria is going back to what they were doing on previous stages of last year, just going to play Judges and Buckies every single one of these rounds. Why not? Because you're trying to contest into the harbor utility that SRG is trying to bring out from round to round on these execs.
And I like that SRG's going back to a default because it's just been A hit after A hit, and it's a mixed bag, and all eyes, especially when you give this space. Oriental reclaims it as theirs, and SRG find themselves down. A duelist that is supposed to be there to make that space, and maybe just a good null command could be what'll make Swimtrek uncomfortable. But what I'm worried about is this Bucky in a corner from Sleepy Aria. And SRG, I mean, they just have to face the music. That's the funky shot to have. And Sleepy Aria at least goes 1 for 1.
Dude, we're going to keep going back and forth with these fights. But right now, the element of surprise is for Swimcheck Blue. Look at them all going for this double, maybe even triple flank. Because I wouldn't be surprised to see Bob super late to bait their teammates. Just to go for that late lurk in case something goes astray.
A lot of weight on their shoulders to stop this. And they are pretty panicked about the flank and takes care of 3 in this round. Bob about to step into this gladiator arena, flash out, playing around cover beautifully. Bob knows that they have time to play with, but now you have to re-clear an SRG. Know that Bob is close. Hoping for a surprise. Time running out. Bob checks the wrong corner, and Glowstick confirms 4.
First big mistake coming out here from Swimcheck Blue in terms of how they held their retake or attempted their retake onto that B site. Not checking corners, leaving one really corner unchecked. That was their downfall pretty much. Even the first shots that were missed from that corner was never really called out. And I think that was Glowstick in that corner, what we call an emo here in the front of that B site. Yet Glowstick is able to drop them both easily and just leave Bob to her own demise here on a 2 versus 1 with still too much utility available here for Alexis. How does she still have 2 flashes in the post plant? I don't know, but they made it work for SRG. Good on them to be able to get these rounds and not have to use too much util when it comes down to saving it for the post plant. And I think that's something here that Swimcheck Blue might have to start doing a little bit more, try to burn out some of that util, not give a chance here for SRG to have too much in the post plant.
Another quiet default for SRG, but now stepping in down. And Sharada's like to kind of step forward to catch SRG by surprise. Exactly a masterclass of the chamber so far, and to supplement A and to change things up after Bob was solo holding defensively at that site for a while. They're switching it up and they keep SRG guessing.
Good right now, at least, that Swimcheck were able to take down Vanitas. Right now, they've been dropped quite early on these aggro pushes coming out here from the side of Swimcheck Blue, and that's no Hunter's Fury to allow here for SRG to exit. But fighting for A main is quite huge here. They can pick up an orb as well, so that Glowstick could have here the Reckoning on the post plant.
Donut drops and wants to go with the team, but at least was able to get a bird's eye view of the setup of what's on the other side of this wall as Alexis is ready to breach, but now is going to focus on the spike being down. The walls, though, come crashing down. Noya's on watch. Sleepy Aria hearing those shots, still needing a sight line. Glowstick is supporting Noya so well that Swimtrek don't have a safe angle they can push unless they win this duel. So Alexis will have to take a seat. Someone got to fill the gap, and it's Noya back into the game with a double kill. You'll love to see Noya get back to her true form.
You can still see, though, that both of these teams really want to try to win this series for something to prove. SRG for the revenge, Swimtrek to do the two-peat against SRG so far in terms of matches. And you're seeing now, because of that pressure and the will to really want it, some mistakes are really coming out. But look at the exec, the flash and dash. Alexis fully blinds Donut going in as she ults, and then Donut cannot get any value on the dash. Secondly, you don't give the spike over to Glowstick to go for the plant, so you have a Reckoning in case something goes wrong here on your post plant scenario. But thankfully they played against an anti-eco this time around that had no GC shares, and they're able to capitalize here on a round. Look at Arya about to push through, trying to push through this smoke.
You gotta try to punish Zoriental, who's kind of like lurking around mid. The double push through the smoke, that just can't happen. Now SRG down Donut early in the round again. It's tough to take space. Maybe just with a Reckoning that could be good enough, but Swimtrek know exactly where they are now, and once these walls come down, Zoriental make this a massacre. It's gonna tuck away. Definitely doesn't want to face SRG head on, and ideally shoot them from behind, and kind of hesitates, and that's uncharacteristic for Zoriental. This forces the hand of SRG. Pedal to the metal, Reckoning in, dealing with Zoriental who came on the flank. SRG will not ignore a problem. 2 versus 2, and now the site is SRG's.
Interesting, trying to plant towards spawn, baiting out util as well, and that shark dart's going to push them away. So right now, you don't really have true value on a Hunter's Fury because you're not playing it towards main. You're not playing post plan as well. It comes down to duels this time around. How are you going to peek through this? Who's going to try to win a fight here? And thankfully, a Cove still came up for Glowstick enough here to go for a plant.
Nop is scary, though. SRG are just going to have to hide away. Glowstick at 70.
One enemy remaining.
Still
one enemy remaining.
The shock dart thrown. Now it's just 1v1 with an op. Well, scary. Glowstick sticking to the corner.
20
Being as
seconds
being as patient as they can. Sherrod trying to get around it. And Glowstick, man, is so good at closing out these rounds when they're under so much pressure.
Dude, this is what I'm talking about. Glowstick has been a player to look out for in that previous stage, but I was thinking about them playing the initiator role and just dropping multi-kills. But that tech, first off, yes, holding, tuck it in towards Emo, just waiting the countdown of the next smoke to come up. But as soon as it comes up, look at how they drop it. It's a low drop of the smoke, so they utilize that as an obstacle. Pulls up the shield. It's a one-way for them to play headshot angle and wins against one of the top ACS players in Sherrod in the past GCs. Beautifully played.
Okay, Hunter's Fury. I mean, man, Sherrod just got run over. Bulldozer, Hunter's Fury, sight clear, knife in, and even Util being thrown at the double doors, and Sleepy Arya's just went in guns blazing, but it's now been dimmed. SRG, tell the confidence is blossoming. They are on a 4-round win streak, and this will be the 5th. See what Swim Trek can do. They're sending 2 on the flank.
You gotta move quickly though, because they wasted a lot of time trying to re-clear towards this spot. So you're gonna definitely need at least Zoriental to start to activate, so you focus the pressure on that side. Well, that orb's gonna give all that tel away.
But he's just gonna take that damage, but that makes them low enough to lose to Bob, and now you have to sprint and get on the spike immediately, which is not gonna happen. And that lets Donut farm closer to her ult. 6-3 now. SRG are doubling that score, and they're really starting to cement themselves in this map.
Yeah, I just think that with the amount of time that was kind of left here, and if you already committed to walk to go for the flank, you might as well just push forward and keep walking to try to get your surprise pick and then really start clashing in here for the side of Swim Trek. But again, this is just a lower buy that you had for Swim Trek Blue because we've been going back and forth a lot in these fights when it comes down to the wire for like 1v1s or 2v2s when you actually have these big gun rounds. So this timeout is quite important for the side of Swim Trek Blue because what's been really good for them is getting Sherrod on forward lines and getting picks on these aggressive lines, and also the way that Sleepy Arya has been playing inside of these smokes. This has to be marked out by the same time here by SRG that Coach Googly should be telling his team that to be looking out for those. Whenever you're going to throw close for Glowstick or whatnot, just make sure and be ready for Sleepy Arya inside that cove. Flash in there, fight that, take them down, try to create some more space on that mid that you're trying to take for your side. But Swim Trek, I think it comes down to really trying to anchor up those extremities so that they can have better ways to help each other out on the rotates and not give up their lives too early as well.
There's been quite a few ops invested from Swim Trek, and I'm not seeing a large impact there. Besides maybe just the aura and the fear factor of, okay, if the other team, the attacking team knows there's an op, they may have to invest more util, or maybe they avoid mid. I don't know, but SRG have been able to just simplify their pushes, flood in through A, make sure they give enough respect to the choke point, and it's going pretty well for SRG, to say the least, but landing right into the nest of Ari, Sleepy Arya. It's not going to work out for now. And then they escape untraded. It's very good for Swim Trek.
I love that because the protocols that kept punishing Swim Trek overall was getting that util, the pop flash towards that main, but that concuss always goes in towards bricks. So Sleepy Arya just plays out in the open, avoids the flash, gets that pick, and is able to escape. That's a huge way to counteract as well on what has been working really well for SRG for their opening picks.
Now Swim Trek wait for the next move, making sure that you keep eyes on mid, as you kind of know that when Noya's in the picture, you don't know where she can be, and hasn't created too many alternate paths for SRG, but rather keeps Swim Trek guessing and keeps them watching their back, their head on a swivel. But at the front door, Bob will be checking for IDs. Sleepy Aria will close it, and SRG now have to push through this orb. And that's not gonna be pretty, as the floor is painted with SRG, and it's a flawless for Swim Trek to get them back in the game.
Definitely felt like something was missing there too. I think SRG trying to fight back towards that A main, especially that Noya has been holding on to this pit for quite a while. I think it would have been, I think the idea of going back towards that A main was trying to create a lot of pressure into the A site and maybe try to ult and cover up like mid lanes and also towards yellow instead of covering up towards that site. But I think they missed a little bit in terms of trying to create util and space and ways to fight towards that main in the first place. We never really had the high tide up either. I gave a chance here for Swim Trek Blue to really fight back at the beginning here at the entrance of the A site. That said, SRG still has a lot of money to work with. If you're looking at it here, still quite healthy to go for a buy for the next 2 rounds, and Sharad's trying to opt out.
Ooh, I'm surprised. That could have been more bodies on the floor. For Swim Trek now, these openers have been massive, untraded as well. SRG are left to pick up the pieces, and the pieces, you can't pick them up if they're dead. It's just glow stick and Alexis. They're on opposite sides of the map. The Arya's about to catch the spike, and this round is cooked. Mid. Ever since this timeout happened, it's like a light bulb lit up in Swim Trek. They're able to get a lot more impact out of the ult, or out of the op, and Sharad especially with this chamber, and SRG, maybe it'll be their turn to take a timeout soon.
Yeah, I mean, with the last round to go as well, when you have money to work with, I think it would be a pretty decent idea if you want to go for the timeout and try to salvage that round. But at the end of the day, maybe they're just trying to figure out. I think I would right now, because it seems as though they have a hard time fighting towards that first few seconds at those extremities I was talking about before, right? Sleepy Aria towards that cave side over on A main, or this time just a random walk down that has never been done by Swim Trek down towards the elbow that got some good value. But I guess here's the calls coming out from Alexis, calling a much slower round this time around by defaulting this 1-2-2 and trying to let really Swim Trek walk towards them, because after the first initial engagement, what really happens usually then, Sharad tries to walk out and goes for a pick. They're trying to punish that right now. So I like that look. I like that we stay calm and stoic so far for SRG, despite the Swim Trek coming back since the timeout, and exactly what's happening there. People are pushing out from lanes, trying to find information. Instant punishes comes in, and now SRG has the player advantage.
Look at that height too from Zoriental, being able to see the whole landscape, and was hoping at least to get revenge, but information is good enough, because sometimes SRG are able to absorb mid so quickly, but this conditioning bomb, one down, more to go. SRG pile in, slice up the site, and you see Venture stepping forth, still having some shock bolts to deny SRG some of these plants, but also the element of mystery, and they're gonna step in right into the butter knives of Donut and the Viper's Pit, and a reckoning. Huge investment as SRG want to end this in their favor with a lead. Trod and Zoriental still in this, now hoping to poke and prod at this fortress. Knives are out. The op has to settle everybody down, and Zoriental has been found. So 7-5 for SRG without needing that timeout.
Well, I was about to say that this was so preemptive by SRG. Again, everything was really nice from that slow call into the execution. But in that post plant, man, did we unleash everything instantly. They were expecting maybe Swim Trek Blue to flood in right away, but they've done such a good job punishing the early pick from Sleepy Aria through mid double doors, and also from that main side from Bomb, that it should already be a weak side A and a late rotate from B to the A site. So by already instantly throwing out that wall, you kind of left yourselves out in the open trying to find some space, and you're getting picked off by Sharad. So thankfully, they still had some players to work with. They had players advantage as well to be able to salvage that round and maintain the lead going to the second half. This time though, this is what I was talking about before. They have a chance for Swim Trek Blue to play very aggressively, which they're trying to do right now in this pistol for this mid control.
My eyes are on Venture. I think the most impressive player with a Sheriff, but hey, Sleepy Aria getting speedy, wants some support behind them, and Venture, first blood. At least I didn't curse them, but this SRG defense is getting cursed. Swim Trek stepping in without a single death on their side. Close though, 15 HP for Sharad. Here comes Noya and Dodonut. with not a single piece of util, no speed, maybe no momentum on their side until Donut and Noya hit the headshots. A lot of sheriffs were used from SRG to begin with. We'll see how it ends. The two are lined up. Donut with the delayed swing, and not the first shot that hits. But was it? Will it be Noya with the last laugh? Now enough time that maybe Zoriental has picked a different side of this cover. Enough time for Noya to take this 1v1 from Bob, and for Zoriental to not trade. At least it'll come down to the spike, right? Oh, Zoriental makes sure at the right moment goes to Swim Trek.
So difficult there for Noya to get that clutch because the pineapple call was already there as well for Bob, who went for a stroll all the way circling from the B side to the spawn where the defenders buy their weapons and were able to play the contact from Troll. Outside of that, though, the exec for Swimtrek was just utilize the speed that you have from both Zoriental and Sleepy Aria, and then just use the aim from all three, Zoriental, Sharad, and Sleepy Aria. It's going to be a pain point for SRG throughout this series if it comes down to those face-to-face battles, if those three players are going to stay grouped up here, especially on their attack side, which they're looking to do again. I like the look that they have too. This is the same default that they had as a pistol round, rather. You have this trip towards the A main. It allows for you to know if anybody's going to push aggressively on that side, and you can just focus all your resources on fighting and taking mid control and figure out where the defense could be.
I think Bob is a really self-sufficient player. You can trust them on these lurk opportunities, and don't think they were a team that really used at least Bob didn't use a Marshall or any kind of sniper before, so we'll be able to hold a nice long line towards B, giving them a lot of options. They have mid. You gotta pick at B. They're getting a drone, a lot of shots coming in through A, which makes the decision pretty simple for Swimtrack to keep swimming towards B.
Yeah, especially when that peak from Alexis comes out and doesn't really engage into any sense of urgency from that B site to try to flood out from there, and also a drone catching somebody over on the A side. They kind of had an idea this time around here that it's a stack from SRG over on this A side. Even better throughout this plant is that you actually waited a bit for that, so that Bob could actually pick up an orb, and now you're trying to orb max as well, going to the long run of this battle as well. This is their map pick for a reason here for Swimtrek Blue. Even though they have a different composition going to this matchup compared to the last time they played it, they still could run this map with these agents quite well, just because of the experience that Sleepy Aria has had with this roster, winning GC1 of this year with this team.
Sleepy Aria has also made some adjustments. How about this one with Bob getting just an ace with a Marshall? I mean, that it is a difference of weaponry, but when there's 4 or 5 people against one, you expect someone to shoot back. Anyway, going back to the Sleepy Aria conversation, kind of a slow start from them, but the adjustments that they've been able to make with the Buckies, the judges, and even on these lower buys, going after the low HP targets of SRG, they've gotten away with more murder than you would expect when facing such a tough team and really an outnumbered situation. So Swimtrek have really picked things up after losing that first pistol of the whole game.
Standing ahead.
Yeah, with the way that CPR is playing, you're trying to just create some more assists in their column, but instead they're just actually just getting picks. They're winning their fights. And this time the peak comes out from Donut solo, which is not that great here. Already gets punished by 4 players again. SRG has to start realizing here that the default for the last couple of rounds has been instantly the same for Swimtrek Blue, the same openings round after round. I think if they lose this round here, Coach Googly is going to start calling a timeout to try to figure out how they can fight against the pressure on middle. This is also going to give a chance here for Swim to change their plans around.
HP, I mean, how is Sleepy Aria even still in this? And the team is able to thrive off of that. The space still secured. Spike down as well. Alexis and Vanitas, who just have to save their weapons at this point, and the lead has been flipped on its head. This was SRG that were up 6-3 at one point, the best scoreline that they had, and now Swimtrek being able to convert their bonus is going to be even better.
Yeah, now even weapon upgrades with Bob picking this one up. She's also running it down towards the A side, trying to give her life or get a kill. So they have a pit going into next round, so they could continue with the aggression. So I love this. This is why also Sleepy Aria at 9 HP is just making so much noise, because they want to make sure that they find one of those players so that Bob could actually get that pick. So at the end of the day, I'm expecting this timeout to come out from Coach Googly to speak to his team and try to figure out how they could fight with this pressure that I've mentioned before on middle. The thing is right now is they don't really know it yet because they haven't really utilized any type of early utility from like a KO knife to an owl drone or a recon dart to really see how SwimTrek Blue opens. But we kind of know by looking at these type of openings that they have left a little bit of a gap here towards the A main and also most importantly towards elbow for SwimTrek Blue in terms of their opening. This might give a chance here for SRG to walk down a little bit more aggressively on that side and also to walk down the fight towards that staircase. They're looking to do that without the timeout. So again, maybe just trusting the calls coming out from Alexis, and it's a great call so far.
It's gonna be a bloodbath with all the pings that came out from SRG, and they threw all the utils. But the bullets come raining down on SRG's parade and crack their plan in half. This was gonna be a Hail Mary anyway with a couple of people on sheriffs, but hey, Benitez won't go down without a fight. And Noya's in a 1v2. It's not impossible, but not doable, unfortunately, at this moment. The SwimTrek will maintain.
Yeah, unfortunately, she had to reload her weapon too, and as soon as she pops back up, well, it's just like at the fair. Instantly popped by Zoriental, and you score the 999. And a high score as well to give SwimTrek Blue a 2-point lead. That said, back into an SRG round where they had a mixed buy from the previous round by only saving, what, both 2 weapons, if I'm not mistaken. And this time around, too, they don't have too much to work with, but they are investing into the operator for round 17, trying to fight that line. And that's why you're putting Donut a little bit more passively down that area.
Yeah, SRG want to be giving a lot more respect to mid after their plan came crashing down. Oh, what a laser from Zoriental. And that leaves a lot of question marks for SRG when it comes to mid. So everyone's watching from the perimeter, from the outside looking in as Donut will trade and a nice shot into a very speedy, sleepy Arya to even up the tables.
Yeah, that's beautiful by Donut to kick things off. So again, as I mentioned, late pressure coming in towards the A main takes advantage of that for the first blood. On their side, at least, it's a 4v4 still no matter what because they've lost Glowstick earlier on.
Big cutoff opportunity for Benitez and chooses that battle so well. Right when SwimTrek were looking elsewhere. Good cutoff, but at least it's traded. Equal numbers, but a lot of space for SwimTrek and even time to find those post-plant positions. Now hearing knives from Zoriental just jumps in front of the op. I mean, Donut just finds the gap right in the forehead. So her and Alexis work their way around. This Venture knows they have to stay hidden away. Donut knows that she won't get a free kill like that again. It's now trying to find where Venture could be hiding at. And it's the deadly game of Ring Around the Rosie. Still one on the spike, and Venture outthinks them. Red Bull clutch for SwimTrek.
Oh, that was insane that they were able to do that because they kind of made a small mistake dropping down and we're like, oh, well, let me shoot to do a silent drop. But I'm like, oh, crap, I'm just giving my position away no matter what by shooting. And it was already pinged instantly by SRG where Venture was at. But then Venture instead just walks around the whole site and makes up for their mistake, and they're able to line up the last 2 kills. Everything worked out so well in terms of the opener for SRG because of Donut and how she was utilizing space that was left behind, left it open by SwimTrek Blue at the beginning of these rounds. But unfortunately here in the post-plant scenarios, in a fight back towards that B site, there was just too many members to deal with here for the side of SwimTrek. That SRG with only 2 players on site couldn't really hold it down against them, which was unfortunate. Also losing Glowstick at the top didn't really help in terms of trying to slow down and cut down that aggression out from SRG because 11, you're looking at this composition, they're not playing a solid anchor for their side of SRG. The main stalls that they have is around Noya and Glowstick. You cannot lose those 2 players early in a round because it's going to be impossible for you to really help out the anchors on the site and make the rotates even more difficult.
It is difficult to go for those contact plays that SRG are going for. And I mean, the one times with Zoriental, I mean, you can't counter that. Like, Zoriental is having such an incredible first game, and as this sort of last second sub-in, I'm really impressed. SwimTrek haven't dropped around in this second half, forcing now that first timeout from SRG. And on a save, you know, we're not expecting miracles out of a Marshall from Glowstick. But you never know what the Sheriffs can do. Shirato is going to be tagged by Recon. Now Swimtrek kind of really staying put towards spawn. They feel like they've had a really good leveraged fight when it comes to mid. Looking for Bob, and who gets spotted by the drone is going to be forced to react. And
nice.
what a knife kill from Donut, and what an angle to find as Swimtrek will at least find some success at the A site. But hey, the Marshall from Glowstick. Well, now I can't hate it, especially when SRG are 5-3. Terms of manpower, no man, Swimtrek are now taking back control of the situation, but it's still very close, and for SRG to pull off at Thrifty, I guess I really did caster curse it. GC Sheriff on top.
Yeah, especially Bladestorm from Donut too. The util was beautiful to punish Bob in the first place, and taking down Bob forced the acceleration of Swimtrek to execute towards the A site. But because you've already gotten such good mid control from SRG in the first place, it was faster for them to rotate and to help out the anchors on those extremities. And that's exactly what I was talking about. The way here that you're able to keep some players alive, the important figures around that site to try to help out with the stalls really helps out in terms of SRG capitalizing on some rounds on a defense. So we'll see how it pans out if this can continue forward here for Swimtrek, who for SRG this round, though, a little bit of a change of a look. Look at this defensive wall that they currently have. They're really trying to have that change to stop it. Well, hold my thought. We're going for a full exit towards this B side for Swim.
Ooh, Hunter's Fury kind of tagged up the team there, and Noya, I mean, got walled in, is put into this jail, and kind of got the gloves out and was ready to go out fighting. Fortress is up, Viper's hits, and seeing if the Hunter's Fury can flush out the rats, and the op starts to poke and prod from the perimeter. Big job for Zoriental, denies the recon, and now has to hope to hold down the back of the site, and it's not going to be too greedy, just gets the one. Allows SRG to swing back in, 10 HP and a dream. Alexis won't let them dream anymore. Spencer found on the other side of the box. And this is all starting to come crashing down, infiltrating into the pit as Glowstick at 1 HP. And this is just all chaos coming down to Alexis versus Sherrod, and a quick adjustment, a quick flick, and SRG are back in the game.
I think that's a second 4K from Alexis, but such an important 4K that she picks up for this round, because one protects Benitez, who is about to get picked off, droning into the site here for the players moving forward, and scales perfectly to catch players off guard, swings out of the pit to catch Bob. She comes out low HP and still wins it against Bob, and then you go with the cover down and a 1v1 showdown against Sherrod again. Not a player you really want to go 1v1 against, and she's able to pull that magic for SRG to keep them in that game. That's beautiful to start. We'll hold that thought again in terms of what I wanted to talk about, the change of defensive positioning here for SRG, because Swimmer going back to the aggression on middle.
Oh, a lot of fear when you hear that from Sherrod. SRG back-to-back rounds since the timeout without Donut, though. Swimtrek have taken down an important pillar, and Glowstick adjusts. Don't have Zoriental. The Jets have landed, and now SRG hope to hold the perimeter and watch for Swimtrek and just play the choke points. Might as well play the fight that you have the best advantage in. Bob. It's a good thing that wall is still up for the Viper, or SRG would be in a... Could have been spotted there from Bob.
To my world.
SRG back to their corner as a pit now forces Swimtrek to probably head to A.
Yeah, this is not a good look here for SRG. They're about to get run down too and not really set up to play for each other here. Finally, a little bit of a reposition, a double swing towards that front. But there's 3 players to greet them.
Okay, I mean, Swimtrek win the duels, 2 defenders down, 0 remain. Here comes reinforcements. Noya and Glowstick late to the party. An off in hand for Glowstick. Swimtrek's really sitting pretty to try and increase this gap between them and SRG after they were clawing their way back. Doubling the numbers. SRG have
one enemy
just gonna have to leave, but that delay on the decision will cost them. And now Swimtrek are trying to deny these weapons.
Adding shield.
Ain't happening. That you're gonna save the off here. Nice shot at least on the Sherrod, but this should be it right there. Yeah, unfortunate there. SRG trying to save the weapons in the next round because Donut got punished opping on the top of the tunnel. So again, now we have a chance to talk about it. That Viper wall that comes in towards that middle and the default smoke that they put from the probe at the bottom of mid is just to try to counteract on the amount of 4-1 splits that Swimtrek has been doing a lot on their attack side. They're able to answer back at least onto Donut getting punished in the first place. And I love their readjustments to try to knife out Bob so they could double swing and fight towards that main. But unfortunately, we were a little bit too preemptive on ulting for the Viper onto that B site that it kind of just forced SRG to anchor up on 2 different extremities and still get run down on a 4 versus 2. So didn't really work out for them. Swimtrek has now 2 opportunities. Actually, should I say 2 more rounds to be able to close out this first map against SRG. But SRG, they're not really done yet. They're on an eco and they're looking to fight against those gaps that they saw earlier in this half by having 2 players face down towards that A main line.
4 sheriffs on the side of SRG, and it's a horrible place economy-wise too. I mean, they did have 1 thrifty when I started to have my doubts, so maybe I'll just hold until the round is done. And SRG are at least playing to what the odds are. They're playing safe, they're playing grouped up. And Swimtrek, no, they dominated most of the fight that have happened at mid. That leaves them with so many angles to infiltrate into B, especially with Ness smoked off. Noya trying to line up the shot, and you're not going to get a chance, a second chance at that. Vanita's good for 1 as Swimtrek puts the rest of SRG to bed.
30 seconds left.
3 left, of course, racing back from the A site. But really extending out of this is Bob. Hey, at least Alexis doesn't fully commit. Knows that Swimtrek like to play aggressive and scrappy, so it's going to be hard for SRG to actually get picks and rather maybe just go down to the spike at this point. You'll fight with what you can. You don't want match point. Definitely don't want it, but unfortunately it's gonna happen whether you like it or not. Because at least farming up orbs is always nice, and Swimtrek get to match point.
Sleepy Arya has just jumped around too, so that Venture could build their ults going into the
Match
Hunter
point.
Sphere as well to try to close out and bring more chances for them to close out the first map. I think there's a great way for SRG to play this a little bit more simple as well for the amount of times they're losing middle so far against Swimtrek Blue. Because Swimtrek are not playing our harbor composition, they're pretty much playing solo smoke with Bob. It's almost committed with them, like they're still throwing the Viper wall over on the A side to continue that type of condition on that end. But when it comes down to full power exits, they don't really have anything to hit towards sites. I think you keep it simple. Put Donut on the op, put her on the back of that B site to look on the top of middle. It allows for you to play a little bit more onto like an anchor, try to find like the Sova, Vanita's util over on that B main by darting, by droning, and you alternate from the timer from the 140 to the minute to the minute or whatnot. Then you realize that gap that continues to go towards that A main. You can continue to insert 1 or 2 players on that side, but still focus 2 players on that mid double doors on that A site. That has both of your extremities on lock when you're always losing players in the first place on top, middle, or whatnot. So I think there's still a great way for them to play that stall. I'd like to have Glowstick maybe playing towards that A main instead so that they could actually utilize their harbor util to slow down any type of A main pressure should the read be wrong in terms of how they want to set things up. But we're coming up back from the timeout. It is not going to be looking to play that passive mid take that I wanted to see here from the side of SRG. They still want to go with a strong fight into the mid control against Swimtrek.
Whatever they can with those 2 initiators to support Dodonut with information, with flashes, because Swimtrek have done such a fantastic job at shutting down that jet. SRG trade, but now you've let almost Oriental let loose. Now really it's going to be a battle for mid. Next up is Noya and the rest, the 2 to swing out of double doors. SRG, that was almost a close call for Donut to get a punish there, and Swimtrek quick to pivot right into B, but someone who's not scared is Noya, and maybe she should be, because Bob is fearless themselves. And this is really tough if SRG just try to go in one by one, but Donut still give them a clear path towards the site. Now, no longer as clear. And this could be the end of SRG in this map. If Swimtrek stick to their guns. Sleepy Arya thought they were going to get spotted there by the recon. And Swimtrek just supporting each other with all these moving pieces. Comes down to Vanitas. He gets 2. And now none. 13-9 for Swimtrek on their map pick. So still amazing for them to do all of that with the 2 new players that had to come in and explode into a site and kind of take care of business. Now Bob can kind of switch up that playstyle and be more of a sentinel or a lurk or be whatever the team needs. And that's why Bob has been such a boon to have on any roster, whether it's challengers, game changers, etc. And to play all of these roles, I mean, she's played everything under the sun, I feel like, at this point.
Yeah, but SwimTrek right now, a big test for sure. Not only to see Bob as his vice, but how do they open up on their attack side too? Because they're not playing a Cypher, they're not playing a Viper. Their A side control is going to be very difficult to take, and their late lurks are going to be very hard to do as well. Which is why I think they're just going to pop.
All on Venture to get some of this information as the Prowler chasing someone back into Waterfall. Nothing hindering them initially. Not marking that vice quite yet. There is a split towards B, and Sleepy Art is able to slow it down at the last second, making it probably pretty hard to place your crosshair on her in that moment. Allowing SwimTrek to get those first 2 openers, and Vanitas is not going to have a second to breathe or to retake, because Sleepy Aria is already infiltrating the defender spawn.
It's so hard right now for the last 2 players to retake, especially Donut at 16 HP, but we'll have to see. It's going to become an aim battle. Glowstick, unfortunately, will have to beat their teammates and try to retake this.
1 enemy remaining.
It's just SwimTrek. I mean, on the attack, they go in so aggressively, and yeah, SRG have a little bit of safe space at times, but you can't even be safe behind your smoke, even inside of a smoke. Now SwimTrek taking that first pistol. And so now you give a chance for Sleepy R to maybe buy a Bucky, or like, she loves her shotguns on these lower buys. And if she's got speed and she gets in your face, it's gonna be disastrous for SRG.
Love the look from SwimTrek though when they open things up. As we talked about them being very fast and wanting to pop. You saw the mountain control push everybody back towards that C side, double lurk towards that B main. So as you make the rotate very difficult for the players on that C side, open that door, 5-player hit towards B, boom goes the dynamite. SRG can really hold it back. So SwimTrek, they're definitely gonna keep SRG on their toes every single one of these rounds.
Just a bandit and a dream for Vanitas. Nothing to slow this down. Glowstick, not even a paranoia. And hey, just holding the line. Vanitas good for 1 at least. That bandit is really hurt. SwimTrek is just all smooth sailing until, okay, wait, not enough damage into Donut. Glowstick gonna secure a lane, and even through the flash from Bob, Glowstick adjusts. Stolen away a rifle. Wait a minute, SRG and these thrifties, these lower buys, they can be scary and difficult to handle as Donut slips by. And wait a minute, Bob against 2, 1 on the spike, definitely making noise. Not even shooting the spike diffuser, but still SRG will deal with it using teamwork.
Yeah, nice little answer back that they have on their side, but a little bit of miscomplacency coming out from SwimTrek, because when you realize here that they had good map control over on that C side for the post plan, they just decided to all go up towards the middle of the site and fight towards Waterfall and just get out-dueled by a triple lineup that was already there from the side of SRG. So good, at least on the defensive side, to play far back, play soft, play retake as a team, and just punish SwimTrek going on to that one. So that's going to hurt them a little bit. But with that double plant that they've had in the last 2 rounds, it allows here for Bob to go for still a hero rifle. It'll be a Guardian to try to open up the A site while the rest of them are still trying to force the rotate by pressuring towards C.
The 2 bullets in the ISO eventually falls as SRG, they just pile in to this mound, and SwimTrek are trying to line it up, but they just can't. At least they escape with the spike, but just barely. 14 HP for Venture. As Bob would like to venture towards A and scares back Vanitas, but that is going to be a factor and a problem that they address. And now leaving the whole left side of the map open, SwimTrek can't afford to wait.
Gotta call yourself lucky here that you didn't throw your life away by jump spawning at that spot. You literally have a wall already there covering that spot, and the door's never been broken. So you already know where the hit's gonna be coming from no matter what. They lost their lives. That would have been a round here for SwimTrek that you're going to be angry as a coach here for the side of SRG. Thankfully, though, they all group up now and they could go for this punish into breakable.
1 enemy
The
remaining.
lineup, and oh, Venture's only 14 HP, and Donut getting speedy and finding success. We've been wanting to see some consistency out of the Neon, out of the duelist for SRG, and from a thrifty to now another round. Hey, SRG can build up the lead. We have no doubt they can do that. They did that on Breeze, but it's the swim track adaptation that keeps you on the edge of your seat.
Fast hit, 5 players for Swimtrade this time towards the A site. They're trying to maybe go for a smoke paranoia and go for robo control for SRG, but let's see if they can hold this back. It's a drop smoke too.
Want to keep your distance from Sleepy Aria too with the judge. And we'll see how she adjusts and kind of uses her team as bait. But SRG still have now all been floored on this lane. Swim Trek vanquish those forces. Gonna manage to get the spike down. It's up to Noya and Vanitas. Not too much in their back pocket. And now you have to be careful with every step you take, because you know Swim Trek, they're aggressive. They like to extend out of the site. Look for those solo opportunities. Noya and Vanitas stepping into the middle. Vanitas, I mean, not even a look away from Noya. That's how much trust she has in Vanitas. Now into tree.
One enemy remaining.
Here's Sleepy Aria, and it gives a moment for Venture to backstab Vanitas, as Noya is definitely in a pickle. Not having any time, but I'm able to get Sleepy Aria low, but Venture will not let Noya stabilize.
And right now, Sharad has been a pain point for the last 2 rounds in terms of opening for SRG to try to hold their defensive line, and has also been a pain point for the last time these two teams played against each other. Sharad was top fragging as an ISO for Swimtrek Blue against SRG on this map pick that allowed Swimtrek to win this map as well. I think it was a 13-6 scoreline going into this one. So SRG, they really have to figure out here how they could play against this ISO. They've already had the experience against it in the past, but this time it's not only on just the ISO, it's a 5-player hit every single time. Now you're seeing that they're reacting by playing this a little bit more passively and trying to play the crossfire with Donuts off.
Man, Sleepy Aria's fighting their demons over there. And okay, still an opener for Swim Trek. Be a good cutoff here for Alexis. And okay, gets claimed by the kill contract. Walls come crashing down, and Trod just can't lose. All up to Vanitas by themselves to buy time for those defenders to rotate back in. It's just trying to be careful, using the flash. No time to react or to shoot back. As Noya takes a peek and goes in solo, is rewarded, but Zoriental ults, dies again. So SRG, it's just layer after layer. They have to peel back, and Swim Trek can now just really fall back to their line, into safety. It's SRG that are forced out into the open.
One enemy
and
remaining.
into the hands of Swim Trek, who could just swing on them at a moment's notice. And there it is.
It's just becoming so beautiful here for Swimtrek Blue in terms of the 5-player hits. Really no way to answer it back. Maybe you could try to go and play some sort of like C's to really keep them at bay, but having Sharad at the forefront with the double tap is just so hard to deal with right now for for SRG. But you had to utilize 2 big ults to exit towards that A side. Maybe even 3 going if you get a count on Zoriental for the pulse plant. But that really took all the information that was needed here for Swimtrek Blue to really take that round away here from the side of SRG. Now you're stuck with a pistol round. This should be another round easily here for Swim.
Now a Steel Garden could be an easy pop. You've already drawn SRG into your grasp, but hey, Donut is fighting back with everything she has, and has done good initial damage, but is the fear factor not enough? I mean, Sharad will look directly into the Eclipse if needed. And now Swim Trek wait for the moment that the wall drops. What SRG
remaining.
have planned, and it's really not much when you got pistols.
Not gonna lie, I think what I like to see from SRG on a defense is to have somebody pull out an Odin. Just start spraying with the Odin on where you could fight with, from break room over towards the orb, from revolving door towards main. Just try to get rid of that double tap as soon as possible and just fight back with the rest in terms of that util that you save for that right after. I think that might give you a chance rather to fight against the aggression that's currently coming out from Swimtrek.
Like a Sharad just maintains tempo and that fast tempo that you kind of need with an ISO, or just to shake up the SRG structure. Like, to not let Glowstick, because, okay, they were kind of warming up. They were grabbing a rifle within the smoke. They hit the ISO with the paranoia, but Gerard was still able to fire back and not let Glowstick pull off an insane clutch if that were to happen. Now forcing already a round 7 timeout for SRG.
Yeah, and again, I think it's on Googly to figure something out here against Swimtrack. 5-player hits. Once they're like, okay, well, this timeout, will they start pivoting back into a 5-player hit towards that C side like they did on rounds 1 and 2? They're still going to gamble here from the looks of it that they're going to try to fight towards this A site first. But what type of util could you really do? I think right now, at least, that position from Glowstick could be quite nice, because if that continues to move forward, they could probably go for the instant paranoia right into the main, so they could actually start inserting Donut into that rubble. So C's from Alexis, flash into paranoia, get Donut in there with a relay bolt, and crunch in to fight. I think they're going back into like, okay, well, the breeze way of like after the timeout, fight against the pressure that comes out on the attack, and hopefully they could close that to bring that that confidence back on their side.
And just my impression of Breeze, SRG don't seem like a team that really rely on ops and outlaws. We saw one outlaw, saw that the ISO kind of ruined that idea, and then you haven't really seen that purchase ever since. But SRG can be that running gun team, but this rubble fight didn't go their way last time. Maybe a different setup. The ideal. Oh, the wall's crossing over. Swimtrack just like to wait. They take their time. One step. Donut will check at breakable. Glowstick still has a paranoia to throw into the mix, but the steel garden from Swimtrack flushes SRG out to the open, and that's where they seem to thrive. Donut with a huge double kill, but wait a minute. Venture matches, blow for blow. And Venture's sometimes been able to turn around these odds when all seems to be gone. But 1v3, Spike on the other side of the world. This is pretty impossible.
That was an insane chaotic round, though, for both of those teams. I liked here from SRG. They did utilize the C's overall towards main, but they used a relay bolt to actually just stall towards orb, wait for the little cap to fall off, and then just fight. They were kind of forced, though, with the ult from Bob to really try to press forward and fight behind the Viper wall from Noya. But she threw a perfect snake bite on that ground,
30 seconds
not
left.
allowing Swimtrack Blue to push and fight back through the Viper wall instead. And then that allowed here SRG to just catch a lot of players off guard. So Bob about to get backstabbed this time around by Vanitas. And this should be a round coming in for SRG. So off the timeout, no aggression to fight pound for pound, but to just try to contain a little bit more from their own
10 seconds
util.
left.
Yeah, round kind of cooked there, and it was kind of a nice attempt.
I have to see, though, if Swimtrack will try to change their style a little bit going into the next round, too. But I don't think so with a Nightfall available. I think that should still allow here for Swimtrack to bust their way towards the entrance of the revolving door and go back to that same ult that they had towards the A side that caught Vanitas a couple of rounds ago, where Vanitas is currently sending towards that C site at least, but they lack numbers here over on the A site as the bear is about to drop.
Yeah, and it was a nice idea, Bob, with that steel garden. Try to make SRG uncomfortable, to play on Swimtrack's terms, but mechanically SRG are starting to match Swimtrack in that moment and to take a rubble fight when otherwise it did not go their way. And someone who's really starting to step up to the plate is Donut. Smoke dissipates. He almost caught the head there of Venture. It's a steel garden this time from the defense. Forces Swimtrack back to spawn, but there's a Viper's Pit waiting for them on that side. So we'll see if Venture's Nightfall will be the end-all be-all for Swimtrack.
It's dangerous going into this because there's a Vice Roll and a Flash Q to fight against that. We should still be able to stall this on the side of SRG.
Oh, Noya tried to escape and just hesitated, eventually gets found, and Swimtrack taking it one goal at a time. But Sleepy Aria overheated a bit getting to the back. And the rest, especially Alexis with that double kill, stabilizes the team. Unfortunately for them, Bob still has the spike, and now this is a lot more doable for her.
Yeah, especially now that she can move into the A site for a plant and get the element of surprise here
30
on her
seconds left.
repositioning. But this time around too, I like the entry from Sleepy Aria. It's just, as I mentioned before, that vice wall that was left behind by Vanitas made the rest of the team behind Swim Trek couldn't really get into the C site to fight. Now this wall is going to activate too to give Bob an even better chance for winning this round.
It's not really a spot you would expect Bob to be in, and ideally wants to have the two lined up because that 41 HP is very tradable. And look,
Oh no.
can they actually get in before the door closes? They do.
One enemy remaining.
And an easy backstab, but wait, the smoke is up and Glowstick has the element of surprise,
This
but no!
world will
Bob,
know my name.
Red Bull clutches for Swim Track.
Again, that's what I'm talking about. The pressure here is really showing for SRG, and his mistakes are showing. Right now, the wall gets perked up, and it allows here for Bob to reposition, but at the same time, you see Alexis is trying to catch up here to Glowstick, saying, hey, let me come to you so we can double up. So Bob has full information of where the two players are at. At the same time, we have a full kit for Alexis, but we're trying to utilize all of it to try to just retake the A side. Hell, you had a Nightfall to overtake the A side already, so the Prowlers could have been used on the left side instead of before opening the door. So it was a little bit of a missed call and misusage of util in that 1 versus 2 because they felt the pressure of the time against them after the spike got planted. And now Alexis at least has money to work with the team. They're going to try to fight towards this B main.
Trot is 1-0. Last kill contract, and the ink hits the paper. It's another one down. As Swim Trek now quickly cut into C, using that ISO wall and infiltrate. Here comes Vanitas to put a stop to this, but after being spotted, now 24 HP, a Prowler their way. They're gonna repeat this, but now feeling confident that Donut at least form that high-low with them. Two also stand at Waterfall, and there's just this storm of bullets into SRG. Before, but wait,
down, C.
Okay, the delayed swing works out for SRG's retake. As Swim Trek play towards Mound because they never planted, so they can change their mind. They have 40 seconds, but on the chase is Dodonut, who maybe was a little too eager for that one.
Now you can sell a fake towards that C side, push towards the A side for a plant. This is really nice for Swim Trek to think on the fly here with the time remaining, especially with that kill. Holy crap, is he looking good here for Swim Trek. They are breaking ankles of SRG on a defensive line so far.
And it was a nice kind of push and pull when SRG were kind of doubling up on two angles, and they were getting so much pressure, or they were getting pressured. And SRG was still able to form a decent retake, but chasing Swim Trek with no information, running into Mound, dying, and then the re-peek from Swim Trek, they get another pick. It's just Swim Trek being really good at closing things out, even when they're at deficits.
And it's crazy to me so far here. We're looking at Swim Trek for the last two maps even. First map was Breeze when it played solo Viper and still were able to get such good value on the attack side when they shouldn't because you lack smokes to exit. This time around for Swim Trek, you're playing a 3-sided map with a Clove that doesn't have full map control on smokes, yet you're still having a 6-3 lead so far just because you're overpowering your opponents.
And a little bit of a slowdown, and this is that Vise wall that it could absolutely ruin Swim Trek. It doesn't slow down Sleepy Aria one bit. The Bucky breaks through, the rest of Swim Trek follows suit, and this is just a bloodbath. And somehow, Sleepy Aria, the first one in, the last one standing, and is just fearless. Is going in with the ult, lets everybody know where she is, and Alexis loses that.
Bro, come on, Aria.
Oh my god, an absolute monster. And now Noya is left as the lone wolf, and at least she has the advantage of knowing where Sleepy Aria last was.
That's the biggest thing too, and he even has this position on top B. Oh my god.
Try that again. I dare you.
Nah, Sleepy Aria is just a go. There's no way. Another Red Bull clutch from Swim Trek.
First off, hats off to Prezi and to KC, our observers for today, to be able to follow the action on the chaos that just happened on that C site, because they just crunched in, speaking about SRG, from the Vice wall to the front B site, and they had perfect trades despite being on an eco. Unfortunately, you have Sleepy Aria with an overdrive running around the map, and then out of out of finger guns. All good. I got a rifle. Let me jump spot for a kill. Kill one midair, close range there into the front of that C site, and just win the 1v1 against Noya. Right now, it's just SwimCheck are just basic. This is Rankers GC style. Rankers 2.0 in GC style, man. This is not Envy. This is Rankers, and they're playing it to perfection.
The mechanics, I don't know. Also, just Sleepy Arya putting the immortal cape on. I can't believe it. Just getting in, getting walled off from the team, still living. But wait a minute, triple swing, Prowler spotting SRG at Mound, and this is tough. The SRG poke their heads out like moles, and SwimTrek just dig them out. There's still 2 left. Donut a lot on her plate, choosing the duel carefully, playing the mind games until Venture steps forth and addresses the issue. Now there's a lot of issues on the SRG side. Alexis solo on C, but I think it's Vanitas that could be visited, but is playing towards spawn, and Alexis gets a chance to backstab.
They get good info though. They know at least that Vanitas is playing A site, so they're rotating. Jimmy coming from there. Good trade off, but it's a 1v1.
Down B.
So many. Oh, that's not where that was supposed to go, but there is so many rounds that have been determined by 1v1s. A lot more of those times, SwimTrek have been able to clutch it out. Now on the edge of that steel garden, Alexis is unaffected. Bob versus Alexis, and oh yeah, now we're shooting bodies back. Oh,
I love it. I love it. Which is why I was like, okay, we're playing with confidence on one end for SwimTrek Blue, but now we're playing with way too much confidence. You're on a 1v1 off the plant here for Bob. You have a steel garden available from that plant. Yet you want to preemptively pop it instead of waiting for Alexis to rotate across, play the tap information, play the time into your favor, play basically Alexis in your hands. And then unfortunately now that you ult, you also lose control of where Alexis could have rotated from, and you lose that fight. So definitely you come back with a vengeance here for Alexis to answer the way that she did after winning that 1v1, because SRG are definitely not going to let SwimTrek run away with this game if you're going to allow for them to take these rounds for SRG. A freebie is given, they'll maybe even double take it. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a 7-5 scoreline for SRG in this last round.
SwimTrek, though, giving a lot of respect in the early round to this Rubble fight, because SRG have had some really nice setups around Glowstick. Dodonut changes her playstyle. It feels like every round, just from being aggressive to jump spotting to getting in your face solo to having a team around her, and SwimTrek have had solid reads. Identify those weaknesses. Kill contract number 3. And it's a 3rd one under the belt, man. Shroud is just built different. Those openers, very heavily in favor of SwimTrek, even from Breeze, and I could see it being the same way on Lotus. The series will not be going much further if SRG don't start responding. As Donut tries to amp up, Sleepy Arya trying to mitigate the storm, and even through the chaos of the steel garden, Sleepy Arya is good for 1, doubling the numbers now of SRG. It's clutch or kick. It's Vanitas against the world, but at 32 HP, regen armor there at least. Hearing Venture around, spotting the haunt, hearing the door, it's panic, and it's not a good enough flick on the second. 8-4 for SwimTrek.
A very nice try though on that first tap, and realizing where the positions could be on that 1 versus 2, and a beautiful 1 first kill there from Vanitas, but unfortunately wasn't quick enough for that second kill at the end. So I was talking about a 7-5 scoreline, but it ends up being 8-4 because of the ult from Sharad that instantly takes down Glowstick. Glowstick dying also doesn't allow for the paranoia ult flood to happen here for the side of SRG. So that was a crucial piece of utility that was taken away from that ult, and that was that winning condition out for the side of SwimTrek Blue that allowed for them to close out that first half with a lot of confidence. Now, second half continues with confidence. We're about to have 4 players run down towards that A line to fight, and then once they realize that there's no pressure on that side, instantly break the door and maybe fight towards this front B main.
Find you.
SwimTrek on attacking sides are insane. There's no other way, because they only dropped 2 rounds on Breeze. They only dropped 4 here on Lotus. Now they're on defense. So now the Vi's wall triggered. Okay, Benita's left behind, can watch the B-Link door. Maybe, I don't know. This 4-person walk down towards spawn to SRG, but here at
Are you kidding me?
Does not care. 3 with the classic. And Sleepy Arya put to bed at last. But SRG, they try to match it. Venita's in a 1v1. And it still ends Swimtrek's favor. But the fact that you get a 3K from Swimtrek and it still came down to a 1v1 is pretty crazy.
Yeah, exactly. At least there's that in terms of fight for the side of SRG. But 3 right-click classic that gets full value is crazy also from the side of Bob.
Now we wait.
Usually right now it's good for like a 1, maybe a second. But for all 3 to land instantly, that's like what, 9 bullets plus like a 3 tap that she utilized for that third kill. That was crazy stuff that just happened there on the eco round for the pistol round for Swimtrek. Despite it coming down to a 1v1, it's still a round that came in for Swimtrek. It's still a pistol round on their side, and it's still a lot of confidence for them to close out this map in a 2-0 fashion in favor of Swimtrek Blue. No upsets maybe this time around as well, because there are RGC1 champs, and SRG comes in with a new roster in this new year.
To do it without their IGL, speaking of Swimtrek, is really impressive as well. And big ups to Sleepy Arya and everyone who's vocally contributing to the success of this team, especially against like a very formidable team. But wait, SRG got a plant, holding it down, now escaping away from the upcoming util. Good retaliation for SRG on these lower buys. On pistols, SRG can pull off something, but the 2-tap on the judge. The Sleepy Arya special, you just can't deny it.
No.
Alexis in a 1v2, she's angry. She's already, well, at least she's having fun shooting bodies, but is anyone shooting Alexis' body? No, okay, we're good for now. But double digits now for Swimtrek. Yeah,
they're just gonna win. They're just gonna let the round speak for themselves here for Swimtrek. That said, though, you're looking at it here too as well for Swimtrek. Yes, they're playing without an IGL, and you just made me think of like, this is basically GC Sentinels, right? They don't have John Cutie IGLing. Let's bring in Zoriental as our Marved, and let's just still win the round here against Cloud9, basically, right? So this is good stuff from Swimtrek. And despite us talking about here the shoot bodies here, this is still fun and games. Remember, Alexis and Bob used to be old teammates from the side of Cloud9 White back in the days, and it's always going to be a little bit of banter in the end. But again, as I mentioned before, they're going to let the round speak for themselves for Swimtrek Blue. 10-4 is our scoreline, continuing to go for a 4-1 open round after round on the defense.
Be a good fighting opportunity too for Bob. There's a flash at that corner, but orb farming, opener farming as well. It's SRG, this is how you want to start off a round. That first rifle round has to be a convert if you want any chances of coming back into Lotus and for this series. And dominoes fall on Swimtrek's side. SRG have not been traded out yet. Here comes Venture to try and greet the hero rifle towards the site, hoping to wrap around, and Bosick wasn't ready. And the turn and burn and almost the third. Venture is so crazy with these multi-kills. I just can't believe it every time. But unfortunately, despite their effort, Bob is still left in the, unfortunately, very familiar situation of a 1v3 and has to defuse, so.
Well, at least there's a weapon that she can pick up. Decides not to pick it up.
There's one towards Swan. That's maybe a safer one to get.
I mean, that's a judge. I wouldn't go get that one. I would prefer to get that
Sleepy
Guardian.
Arya's judge, though. That she's gonna want that.
Who got denied right away for that round, right? So that's the thing too. I like it. You're seeing Bob. She's probably just gonna die to spike here or just try to find exits, which is nice because I think at this point the door is gonna open up and she could maybe surprise 2 players here. So as this unravels, the round still comes in for SRG. But I do like and want to point out the walls that was utilized here by Noya on this A side. It looks very basic from the looks of it when you look at the minimap, but usually if you're looking at your ranked games, it's like, oh, why is our Viper put in this wall and it's not covering towards heaven? Right? Look at how she's slicing that area. So she's blocking the field of view from where the Vice is currently positioned, where Bob is at. So Bob can't really jump spot on that side. You really can't get a vision from the staircase or from breakable door. But most importantly, what gave them value, it didn't allow for the judge of Sleepy Arya to play that spot, because as the wall goes up, you can't really move forward, because if you move forward, the tip of your gun is sticking out, you can already get instantly punished. It allows for them to go for a little bit more of a surprise walk-in and easier clear towards the close angles without forcing a Prowler to give away their positions from SRG.
Worry about SRG not taking a lot of space. Maybe, you know, huddling up, going for the turtle strat. Unfortunately, the shell gets cracked already. Swim Trek were like starting to walk towards spawn, and if you let them get too happy, you just know Sleepy Arya will come charging towards spawn like she's done before. But hey, SRG gonna have to make do without the Nightfall, which is a huge bummer and a huge win condition for them. We'll now have to clear the sites the hard way. Now a Steel Garden is what's pushing the solo lurk of Vanitas, and maybe that's a silver lining for SRG to not have to worry about that anymore.
These allows for them to get a plant in, but they're still at a player disadvantage here this time around for SRG. No big ults coming out from the plant either, and unfortunately, Donut's trying to find space in the first place to try to make it a 3 versus 3. Big, high risk, high reward play, but unfortunately is not rewarded for that, so now it's 2 players trying to hold down the line in the post plant.
I like the attempt, but Noya, okay. Finding the gaps, but Swim Trick forming more gaps in the bodies of others. That gets them up to 11. And at this point, I don't know if SRG can keep their heads above water. Sometimes it's just coming down to these gunfights that more often than not are being converted by Swim Trek.
Yeah. Well, right now, they're also getting the same type of punishing that they did on Breeze before, especially when they're playing the defensive side. As Swim Trek are trying to add a lot of pressure on different extremities, either on attack on Breeze or on defense on Lotus here, they're still capitalizing on a lot of first bloods against SRG. And SRG, so far, doesn't really know how Swim Trek are kind of opening this, because now this is the second time that they're running a 4-1 setup on the Seaside Mound, and SRG is only going to be the second time that they see it. So they're still playing in the unknown so far. They have to keep guessing every single time. Oh, now at least a haunt helps. That spots so many players, and look at the instant pivot from everybody from SRG over on the A site.
Okay, this is the type of tempo up could really catch Swim Trek off guard, and that's first blood for Noya. Nobody left to defend. Okay, Donut's gonna try her hand again at extending out to C. Having the leveraged position could catch Swim Trek off guard, but they know that there's been time for SRG to come up with a plan, and oh wait, backs are shown. Donut only gets one. Noya's turn against the kill contract and make that, what is it, 4 or 5? You can just stop counting. Sherrod just converts every single ult.
6, 7.
And at this point, yeah, probably. Probably. I didn't want to say you did, and now we can watch the rest of this round be less funny for SRG. But this is 2 versus 2, but Sleepy Arya is gonna get her kill stolen by Zoriental's shorty. So, okay, match point, series point for Swim Trek.
Which is fine. It worked out because it was a Steel Garden that was utilized, by Vanitas on the post plan, so they had no weapons to work with. So props as well to Sleepy Arya to have that overdrive to utilize to counter on the lack of weaponry and closing that gap to allow a 2v1 on SRG. So yeah, this is hard to look at, hard to watch. I love the position from Donut. She almost had the surprise kill onto 3 players, but the 3rd player, that was Donut, that flicks in quick enough to save her teammates. Even if she broke the shield of Sherrod going into the ult, Sherrod still wins the fight against Noya because Noya only had a Guardian too. So just a lot of like little things that makes it very unlucky for SRG into every single one of these fights, because the macro of that previous round was actually quite clean for SRG to move into the A site. It started off with a beautiful haunt from Alexis in the first place. But I think it comes down to what you're mentioning as well, Lemmy Kiwi. When it comes down to these fights, when it comes down to the aggression and the floods from Swim Trek, there's just too much firepower on their side that is not evenly matched by SRG so far.
And I feel a lot of times Swim Trek are just straight up outnumbering them, whether it's they're walking towards spawn together, just how they're grouping up. And I think SRG, despite getting first blooded a lot, they bring these rounds down to like 1v1s, 2v2s when Venture gets a triple kill, when Sherrod converts every kill contract, when Sleepy Arya is sliding in with a judge and pops 3. SRG haven't been flawless. I don't think so this map, or at least it hasn't felt like it. So there's always a bit of a fight left in SRG. And I never feel like they're defeated until that 13 hits, or whatever scoreline we're gonna get. I don't know if overtime's in the cards, especially with the buy that we have on SRG's side.
Look at this, trying to punish off the Prowler. Undercut. And Arya is trying to not to push forward here because they only have a judge. So at the end of the day, they don't want to get their positions out. They're still in a great surprising spot. SRG trying to slow things down after the timeout. Here comes a big fight very soon.
SRG, it's really do or die now. Any mistake costs them the series. Still expecting them to have a top seed, but this is going to be a juggernaut that you're going to face in playoffs. If the road still leads you there. Bob delayed swing. Vanita's looking the wrong way. The rest smoked off all things disoriental. And okay, bit of a whiff. And SRG putting a lot of pressure on the Sentinel. Now, not really wanting to commit to C, deciding to teleport all the way to A with the spike.
That is crazy. The gamble to TP towards the A side, and it works out in their favor. Alexis cuts to rotate as well, and they have a chance to fight into the post plant and stay alive for SRG.
Oh, is Oriental E-sub number 2 gonna get another life? And so they will. That's disastrous, especially your IGL not being in this last round, but it's taken so much time for SwimTrek to run over to this side. SRG make this path difficult as SwimTrek. Now they have to race in. Here's the flood. You hear the shotguns. Donut facing it front and center. One down, couple more to go. It's just Glowstick that has to prevent the defuse. And Shroud is 1 HP. Easy to do. Quick taps.
Beautiful.
And not enough time. What a clutch for Glowstick. And like you said, the risk to go to the other side of the world by themselves pulls out the win for SRG.
And those were the moments why, again, I was mentioning how Glowstick was so good for SwimTrek Blue previously in stage 1. The clutch scenarios that they were able to bring up to the table to allow SwimTrek to just squeak through a couple of rounds and just have such a prominent run going into the main event of the GC stage 1 presented by Verizon. So works out this time around too. Makes up for their mistake, because when you look at the entrance that they had, the entry that they attempted towards that C site, they actually flashed Donut sliding through and just broke away here the synergy that they were trying to create to enter towards that C site. Thankfully, they save the round, buy that TP, they get the clutch, and SRG is still in the fight.
You have to double your score, and an uphill battle is turned into a mountain climb at this point, but SRG, if they could have Donut with all the lights on and a crazy overdrive, getting first blood isn't the start that SRG wanted at all. And that's a deep Vice wall too that they have to trip up. That's such a big notice for SwimTrek. And SRG haven't really had the time to kind of work the map slowly, because SwimTrek don't really let them play slowly.
And it's a solo lurk from Vanitas to even peek into the B site. I mean, fair, because of the consistent 4-1 opens that I was mentioning before for the side of SwimTrek. They're trying their hand to try to find a gap in that spot, but unfortunately loses that fight. Big flash that comes out, and Bob gets punished for it. So again, full confidence coming out from the side of SwimTrek that gets fully punished for it. I'm gonna give a chance here, another opening for SRG to get the round.
30 seconds left.
Coming in, guns blazing, and SRG just wiped the floor with SwimTrek. It's where pressure makes diamonds. But there is a shotgun, and that star could be dimmed. Sleepy Arya will best the other Neon. And the retake, it delayed. Not a lot of time. Sleepy Arya has to also be in range for a Bucky, and Alexis can hide, but cannot run away from a Neon. And oh my god! There's no way! This is how this ends! At the hands of Sleepy Arya, an absolute demon wins Lotus for SwimTrek.
Hello Reddit, hello highlight reel from Sleepy Arya that's going to be posted at some point because of what just happened.